Today we are learning basketball with Drew Munley. He is a women's basketball analytics intern with the Syracuse women's basketball team and an assistant coach of the City Rocks EYBL team. We're here to talk a little bit about Syracuse and the EYBL scene and, dive into some concepts that you're excited about that you got to run with City Rocks. But before we do, how are you doing today, Drew?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Excited to connect here and talk a little Syracuse hoops, celebrate a little Carmelo legacy. Always love taking the time to celebrate Carmelo, right?
Yep.
You already
Yeah,
know.
I was just in the normal center. That place is going to be alive with when Kiyan comes to town. And he's already here, but when the basketball season winds up, so it'll be great.
Hey, that's kind of what I want to lead off with is, what are the vibes like around Syracuse that, obviously Carmelo Anthony, legendary, basketball player career, one and done, like one of the most famous one and dones ever. Like he wins a title, like he, as a freshman for Syracuse, obviously an all-time draft, a stellar season too. So like, obviously we're starting with his walking around legend. And then his son is, a very talented basketball prospect, projects to be a first round pick in the next draft or two. What are the vibes like now that, the Anthonys are kind of back on campus and running things that, maybe for the next year, maybe two?
So I would even say just the total vibes started to pick up even last year when he started coming on visits and Carmelo started to come back to the games. So when we watched Duke and when Cooper Flag came to town, it was wild, the environment at the Dome and just, the packed crowd. So that'll be a big thing with Kiyan coming in is just the amount of people that are going to come to the Dome, even good or bad, win or loss, just the result because they have a face and a brand like the Melo family. So it's just great that we were able to bring him on campus and able to keep the lineage going. But even with Carmelo, it's just so broad on campus. All the 15s, the 15 jerseys, everyone's wearing a Melo jersey. Even in the Melo Center, when you just walk in, there's a big hallway and it has just a bunch of it's practically a shrine. It's just for the Syracuse greats, and you'll see the trophy, and it's just a great environment to be in. So I'm happy that my senior year I get to see one of the great families come back to town. So it'll be a blast.
Absolutely. I mean, talk about great timing there. Sounds familiar to my college timing. I got Jameis Winston in that Florida State undefeated football season back when I was in college for my junior year. So as a fan of the team, you can't do better than a Heisman and an undefeated title run. So it's it's pretty comparable to being there for Carmelo or something for that type of a run in that sense. But yeah, I mean, I imagine it's an awesome feeling on campus. Get the lineage, the generations of basketball greatness, and this is one of the better sons too. There's a lot of pro sons that, might get overrated here and there or just kind of get a little boost in their draft stock because they do have incredible lineage of their parents being a pro basketball player. Like that familiarity just, creates kind of good results on its own. But, sometimes it can lead to being overranked here and there. But I really think, Anthony is a special talent, and I got to catch him live at the Top 100 camp. He got a high volume of pick and rolls. This was 2024, but he was running every play for his team, nonstop pick and rolls. And there was a little bit of high volume. He got a lot of touches. He got a lot of calls because of all those volume and touches. But what really stood out is his finishing touch. You can tell that's something that kind of passed on from Carmelo. To Kiyan there is that touch, that tough shot making. He more times than I can count, he would create contact for a bump and finish and one shot, and they were not layups most of the time. They were I'm gonna pump fake at the elbow like my dad, get him in the air, and then hit him with the and one, and he would make the shots. They were floaters or mid range shots, but they weren't all easy gimme layups and one. So just gotta shout out his touch. Really stood out. His ability to create that bump and finish contact, foul drawing really stood out. And that masterful kind of pick and roll, decision making. Like he's a score first point guard, but like he's a point guard. He can create for others and make the easy decisions. So, how do you think that's the actual play on the court is going to translate? Whether it's year one being a little smaller role, perhaps, or do you think he'll kind of have the full offense to run at his fingertips out of the gates?
Well, I hope that they test the waters and see what he can really do, just to see if he can unlock new parts of his game, or maybe parts that were great at Lehigh or great during his just other basketball teams when he was playing AAU and whatever. But just like you could also see, when going back to what you were saying before, you can see Melo's game in Kiyan, and just like on how he scores and how he finishes, and just like the type of contacts, just how he engages with defenders. Like, it's just great to see. I will be thinking him playing as like more of a secondary ball handler, just because Syracuse has put a lot into JJ Starling, and he's a great player, and he'll probably be starting at the one and having a lot of reps at just the primary initiator, and he's a really fast guard, so it would probably help out Kiyan to get more quality touches, maybe where it's just spot up, where he can catch and shoot, catch and attack, or just keep the ball moving, where it's less of him trying to create everything. And we know he will have sets and just general things in the offense where he's going to be able to go hoop, and that'll be fun to watch. But I think him playing complementary will be great, and probably something we see to start the year pretty commonly.
Yeah, that's a great point to see how he adjusts to different roles. Like I think he's probably been the guy for most of his career to this point. And, even with Lehigh, which is loaded with talent, I caught them in Mount Verde on a trip this year, but he was injured. He didn't end up playing. So I didn't get to see him in that setting. But he has played with a lot of talent, but he's still getting those point guard touches. So like you're saying, like, can he adjust? Like, will it be all like on ball stuff, like a Trae Young or a D'Lo, maybe, or can we get more of that, like the variability, like the variance, the versatility of being able to shoot on and off the ball? Because if he has that shooting touch, you would think there is something there for off the ball shooting touch with enough reps or enough practice, enough something. But there are a lot of different ways to shoot a basketball, and some guys are better at one way than another, and that's just kind of where they lean. So it'll be interesting to see, like, will he be cool with the smaller role because he's been the guy for so long? And, I don't know if he's made any comments about, wanting to start, wanting to, it being team first or anything, if you're aware of anything like that. But, in general, I assume he sees himself as a potential first round pick and he wants reps. So I'm kind of with you, though. I do think that, he could be the sixth man for all we know to start the year and kind of slowly get those reps. Maybe he wins out the job, and maybe you get a full-time starting point guard next year where he really tries to boost his draft stock a little more next year too. That could be, I could totally see that, because this draft class is so strong and there's so many incentives to stay in college hoops that, could you see him staying a few years here in Syracuse?
Yeah, especially like because Melo originally, I know we don't know what happens behind the scenes, but like he's outwardly said that he like wanted to stay at Syracuse all 4 years. Like,
yeah. I remember that.
Like,
his coach said something like, "Oh, you tell it, you tell it."
Yeah, so he wanted to stay on campus, and all the fans, when they were doing the trophy presentation, they were chanting 1 more year. And he goes, "I thought you were supposed to stay in college for 4 years." So just to give it back to him. But yeah, no, Jim Boeheim practically was like, he just kicked him off campus. So
exactly.
So, but I do like that.
Projected top 5. You get out of here, man. Yeah. You're done.
It also seems like Melo has been very like cool about the process with Kiyan, and he knows like to take it slow, and just it's all about the work, and your opportunities will come. So I think whatever process it is, he'll end up getting to the next level and be put in a spot where he's comfortable. But yeah, no, there could be a little bit of variance on how much he is playing right off the gate. But I think that the competition will create a better player.
Yeah, and it's been really cool to see Carmelo have that kind of supportive father coach role of doing a little bit of everything. He's always there. Like he's always showing up at these events, like courtside for everything for his son. So it's been cool to see that support, and like you're saying, like not try to overdo it with pressure and hype and like over expectations and stuff like that, and just trying to be the best player you can be and all that. So that has definitely been cool. And with the roster, like a fun fact that I saw about the roster, that all players on the team are between 6'3" and 6'9", which I believe is still true. That there is no true center on the roster. So like for the rest of the roster, what do you think? How do you think that will kind of affect the play style? There were two players that stood out that we had talked about a little before: Sadiq White Jr., Donnie Freeman. I think are these like versatile defensive big wings is kind of how I view them. Maybe even fours. So if there are fours, then they can kind of be small ball fives in the right setting. And you could totally see, for instance, Anthony running pick and rolls with these guys as play finishers. We'll see, especially at the rim, as strong play finishers. So that's one kind of hypothetical. How do you kind of see the play style and maybe the roles for these guys? Because I can talk a little more about what I saw from Donnie Freeman, but they're both impactful players.
Yeah, I'd say the forward room is definitely open. Sadiq coming in, it's like he's more of a defensive ace and higher block rate. Like that was the big thing with Donnie. It was just like, how is he going to fit in defensively for us? And I will say he played a lot of the four, and I think that's probably where he was playing at best. So a 4-5 of him and Sadiq could raise a few questions, but I think that they kind of have similar play styles, and they're more like to the basket players, and then they have counters around them where instead of being more perimeter oriented. So I think that they could provide the inside scoring that we had with Eddie last year. So I think the center room will be open, but there should be a battle also with William Kyle coming in and being a very athletic forward. So it's about a bunch of long athletes in the room, as you were saying. So
yeah, it feels like this is kind of a general archetype, but like it seems like there's no traditional center, but there's like two like PJ Washingtons or Aaron Gordons, like these strong, big brute power forward types that can like if you're playing them together, the spacing might be a little tough, but maybe they're both streaky enough where it works on a given night. Like for Donnie Freeman, he really impressed in this the 2023 Sunshine Classic is when I caught him live, and it was actually when looking at the Cerebro Sports data afterwards in this event against huge high school matchups with Cam Boozer and Cooper Flagg, the Mount Verde team, the Boozer, I believe it was Boozer in that event. If it wasn't Boozer, it was DeBonsa's team. So it was one of these huge teams. But with all these, with all these like huge players, yet Freeman actually led the event in multiple stat categories that Cerebro tracks, like overall impact, scoring impact, defensive impact. So like he was quite literally number one in defense, scoring, and overall. So like he was having himself a good time with Darius Acuff on the IMG Academy team is where he was playing on. So they were both bringing a really high impact. Acuff was shooting lights out from three. So Freeman like brought winning impact, was clearly like brought some versatile scoring, some all around efficiency, and that defensive versatility is really what stood out to me for Freeman. And then Sadiq White, similarly, as you were saying, like a bouncy play finisher, super strong, long arms. So Syracuse front court is going to have some versatility. It feels like and that could lean into more modern basketball. You think at least on the defensive level or defensive side of things, sure seems like they'll be able to switch a lot or run, maybe be versatile. But whereas maybe they don't do as much drop coverage if you don't have kind of that traditional center.
Yeah, with Eddie, it was more like a flat or a drop. And just like we would always have a problem with giving up like just open threes, like if we have issues with the tag or just not the correct rotation. So I think if you just switch it and you have forwards who could switch, maybe you give up a couple off the dribble jumpers to guards. But I think at the end of the day, that's good process over maybe a bad result. So I think they'll have a lot more versatility and probably be more fluid on the defensive end.
Absolutely. So, on the men's side, last thing here, how do you project this season going? Like, are we what are we looking at expectation wise this year for the
I'm
men's side?
hoping for 20 wins. I don't know if 20 wins gets you a tournament in today's ACC, but I think if we get 20 wins, we'll put ourselves in a good spot. I'm hoping for like some sort of ACC tournament run or just something to bring more hype to the Syracuse fans in the postseason, because we've had a decent bit of good regular season like cardiac moments or Kodak moments, but we haven't done much in the postseason. So that's all I'm hoping for.
Hey, another Anthony run could be in the mix here. What
Yep.
draft wise, do you think anyone kind of makes a name for themselves this year in the draft? Do you think Anthony like goes in, like could be a first round pick this year if everything goes right, or do you think it's a lot likelier that slow roll, everything we kind of hit on, like gradual development, and then next year really makes the case for a little more touches, a little more efficiency, being a lottery pick? And same, I have Donovan Freeman on my draft radar. I'm not sure if anyone else on the roster jumps out to you. Maybe Sadiq White as well is on those radars. Do you think anyone could kind of be an NBA draft pick this year?
Well, yeah, with Donnie, it was last year he had a pretty good stock going into the year, and he flashed in a couple games, but the injuries, as you know, probably sidelined the stock a little bit. But I hope Kiyan stays as long as possible, but I think a 2-year or a multiple year plan will just help him get there physically. They hired a new strength and conditioning coordinator, so I think, and he seems to be bringing the gun, so the longer time he's with him could be the better.
Could definitely see that. He's still a young freshman and a smaller guard in a sense. Could see him bulking up, helping, but he plays hard and he's not afraid of contact. That's for sure. So he knows that if he creates the bump, gets the awareness, he has the touch to finish, and that's his play style there. But definitely excited to see how this plays out. Want to see him have a fun run, like have a few moments and do something cool, make his own mark as a Syracuse basketball player. And on the women's side, I wanted to hear maybe a little more about your role with the team as a basketball analytics intern. What are you kind of into in that role, and also what are you excited about most about this upcoming season?
So for the team, a lot of the stuff, like if I'm doing tracking, it's a lot of the stuff that's happening on the court that you can't really contextualize without a stat. So like we track a lot of possession types. So ball reversals are pretty big for us. Guard paint touches are big for us. We look at like different possession outcomes and like how our drives are, what our threes are, just kind of different shot types or different play types that you can't really get in a traditional play-by-play setting.
Very cool.
And then,
that's an interesting way to keep track and just kind of log what happens, and kind of, especially if that data isn't accessible. I imagine someone's got to track it yourself.
Yeah, you got to do it by hand. But we also look at a lot of rate stats, and that's something I find very big. So one thing that I'm looking forward to with this set of players and this type of team is just a different level of cohesion and more variability in who's going to score or going to get looks. Because in the past few years, we've had guards who are very dominant with the ball, and they scored like crazy for us. And we had Deasia Fair, one player, she got all the way up to top 5 in total points scored, and just went in at the NCAA level. Like, she was trailing Clark the entire year. So that was a fun season to be a part of. But we had a big transfer class as well. So there's also more variability in, like, okay, we don't know who's going to earn what job. So it's exciting. It's a change of pace.
Absolutely. And are you able to involve the analytics into like the practice of could you dive any more into your role without, I'm not sure exactly what you're allowed to talk about, but when maybe you're in practice, are you able to talk about different analytical goals with the players, whether it's their own development, whether it's the game plan of the coaches, or does the role, I mean, I'm sure it's different for every team and the demands, but generally speaking, those kind of things. How many different hats do you wear, I guess, with this role? Are you also maybe communicating with the front office as well?
It's a lot of, like, we do a lot of scouting, and it's mostly directed towards the coaches to give them ideas. Like, I guess we're kind of just like in their ear the entire time, where it's more of like, back to the rate stats, we use that for lineup data, and we're able to convey like what groups work together, what their substitution patterns are, just like how they can put groups together that benefit how they're trying to play. So it's kind of more of just like an advising role, or helping give kind of different pieces of opinions that they may not have. But yeah, it's kind of just more like we're helping where we see fit.
Yeah, it's super, super cool to just have your hands in a lot of different roles there and be able, I think analytics can be a tool to help everyone across the board, just, find edges, find advantages, find, be really just to be more aware of the odds and what your chances are for doing things, and, how that can help, whether it's decision-making in a game or spending time efficiently in practice or whatever it may be. So super, super cool and interesting there. Do you want to pull up some of these plays that you'd like to break down here? We got some interesting concepts. I can pull up the Beckham Black pass first.
Oh yeah,
and
so this
we got go ahead. We got a few clips here that you're gonna break down for us, and tell us what the concept is in general for all of these.
This Beckham Black clip, I just wanted to highlight because he was a prospect we played this year. And so originally we thought about, like, okay, we're going to blitz him because his shooting numbers weren't too high. And it was like, at the time we played them, it was close to like 30% from 3. But we knew he could play make. So we were kind of taking that, trade off of, should we send 2 at a playmaker to get it out of his hands, because he's dominant with the ball for this AB Elite team. And also we were blitzing for the majority of the season. So we didn't know if we wanted to change what was working. So like after this moment where we had enough of the blitz, and this pass is just ridiculous. So he stops, and then, I had to show a miss because I can't do the boys like that. But that clip, we were like, all right, that's it.
I like it. You gotta respect the boys. But I mean, just beautiful, like, jump pass. Basically hesitates the defender with his eyes, it looks like, as he's like looking at the pop man. Yeah. And then whips it behind him. Just
it was a great play.
Yeah, I mean, watching him it's an easy comp, but he plays a lot like his brother AB, like in so many ways, like just a pass first, super connector, point guard, tall point guard who, like you said, the 3-point shot can kind of come and go. It's probably a good strategy to let him shoot kind of thing, or like you're saying, like try to get out of his hands. But he is a good playmaker too, so it's you got to live with something most of the time. in the when it comes
He
to
had
defense.
He had one of his better performances of the season against us, and I think he ended up with like 19 points and more than 5 in each of like the major stat categories, and it was just like, okay, it was enough. So yeah, he gave us a tough one.
Yeah, all around dominant. Definitely a box score, stat sheet stuffer.
Yep.
AB super smart on both ends. High two-way feel. Got to see him live as well down here in Oak Ridge when he was playing on Duncanville with his teammate Caden Edwards. Caden Edwards went off for like 45 or something against Jameer Jones, who also had like 40 something. It was a crazy shootout. But AB definitely, or AB's brother Beckham definitely, held his own. Really high two-way feel. Really impressive defense. Really impressive just orchestrating the offense. Just his decision making. Like very naturally knows where to put the ball and how to run the show, and can then score when he needs to, like a old school point guard that way. So that's always cool to see with his game.
Yeah, he was also like having the point guard role of like being that leader, and he was holding his team and even coach accountable during the game, which was cool to see. So yeah, no, he's a special player.
Absolutely. Pull up the second clip here for you.
Yeah, so this clip is just kind of our ball screen motion and so we would normally set it with the drag from our 4. And so our 4 then gives it off. And then our 5 lifts like a traditional like Euro ball screen motion. If I were to track that shot, one thing I did for City Rocks was like track our shot quality. And so one of our big things was no twos off the dribble. Like we want you to get to the rim or get to the paint and kick. So, but yeah, if you get a drop like that, you have to shoot it. So that's what he did, and it went in. So it was big.
Yeah, that's a smart style of play. Go for the efficient looks, and but yeah, I mean, some rules are meant to be broken. Like if the defense is leaving you wide open, you gotta take something. Yeah. So I mean, what are you gonna do? Drive into trees or hit the elbow midi over the defense?
That player, he scored like 2,000 points in high school so far and he's gonna be a junior next year. And it's like, are we really gonna tell a kid who scored 2,000 points to not shoot the ball? That's crazy. So yeah, he got to his spot.
Right. Sometimes you gotta live with it, and especially if you can make it, like you're saying. Like it's a bad shot when it's a bad shot, but like if a guy is efficient at it, it's probably a pretty good look, especially if he's open. Like it's still just like playing the odds, and it's still like I think it kind of gets overblown in the sense of like good versus bad. Like these are general principles that apply to the majority of possessions. Like it doesn't have to be black and white, I don't think.
No.
So we got one more play here.
I think we gave our players good freedom to score and get where they wanted. So I think the shot quality didn't really inhibit what they were going to take. So it was more just, when do we take, bad shot turnovers? When do we take shots that aren't in our MO? So.
Makes sense. And, last one here. Iverson baseline rip throwback for 3 from City Rocks EYBL. You got for us?
Yeah. So the title may be a little too much. We just called it tap, but this was this was big for us during the year. I think my team, this team is the 17U. My team, we averaged like 1.12 points per possession when we ran this play. So like it was just perfect. But yeah, the guy inside the Iverson leaks out, and as the drive happens, the center goes down and pins for the guy at the elbow. And this play is very important. It's like you're reading the help, because a lot of the times on this drive, the help sinks in, and he gets that space to go shoot.
Yeah, that's a cool set. So the Iverson is the stagger screen across the middle here. and then that you called it just tap, a lot less of a mouthful than what I read the first time. So the center 5-man here on the left elbow, little screen for the 4-man, who they both like screen the screener kind of thing after like an Iverson stagger type of set to open up the kind of I guess a flare screen for the 3-point shot there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you walk them down. We told them to set it like almost at the restricted area, or you're just trying to make sure you nail the guy who is trailing the shooter.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many. I like when a play can create different advantages and take advantage of different like misadvantages and opportunities. I guess like I just saw a different play action the other day of like a stack Spain pick and roll, but it was like this as well, where they also screened the screener again for a flare screen for one of the screeners to pop out for a 3-point shot. So it's just like the flow of offense is super interesting. Of when you're running a play like this, are you trying to find the balance of like let's hit them with a normal Iverson once or twice before we flow into this alternative option, or do you think it's just like we're confident in this look, we're going to practice it, and we're just going to kind of break out looks as we go? I'm sure there's there's different factors that go into all that decision making, but I was wondering, like with play calling, I guess, do you think it's more of like flow of the game, where they kind of build off of each other, and the idea of like you build the run so you can run a play action in football, or do you think it's more of just like we're confident in all this, we're just going to play call whatever we want as we go, and whatever we see is on the fly kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd consider this just a play for a shooter to get one up. Like, we would always use it when we knew a shooter was getting hot, or we needed a 3, just like those kind of situations where it's like, all right, let's see if we could break out one of our best. So it was fun for me because I'd be tracking all of our sets, and I could see if we used it or not, or if we scored on it or not. So I would always be like whispering to the coach, it's like, you haven't used head tap yet. You haven't used head tap. Or it's like you've used it 2 times and you've scored on it twice. So, it's just trying to balance using it too much and or not using it at all is kind of just where it all lies.
Yeah, and the hot the hot hand theory kind of goes with what you're saying. Of that makes sense too as to why you would call this play. Like, this guy's heating up. It's a good look for an open shooter. It's for the right player in the right position, or you just move that guy to that position for that set only. So that kind of makes a lot of sense as to like play calling in basketball, I guess, compared to maybe football. I wonder, you're building the run all that much because you're trying to like build tendencies and catch the safety leaning in for the run on the 10th time, and then you hit him with play action deep. Like maybe it's more of like all of these things are threats all at the same time, but we see that the shooting guard is catching fire a little bit naturally. Let's ride that hot hand and create as many good looks for him, like go after it. That's like this sort of idea is what I kind of want to see, like the Orlando Magic, who I had cover obviously, like do with Desmond Bane a little bit. Like I want to see actions that are specifically let's find Desmond Bane for 3, not necessarily let's just hope he finds an open shot off of everyone else.
I think you like parts of your offense you could definitely tailor to giving consistent looks, but like even a team, if you run away action, or if you run just a general series of actions, then throwing in a play for your shooter where it may not be suspect of one, it's like that's probably the best way you can go about it. And then you could call it off as, like you were saying, it's already layered. Oh, the defense may think this is going to be a backdoor cut, but it's actually, he's popping out for a 3. Like that's kind of the methodology you have to have behind it, where you can hide it a little bit, but it's still in plain sight.
Yeah, and it's interesting with like the law of averages of like just kind of going through all the mental math of like the there is a lot of variance in 3-point shooting. Maybe this shooter just made 1 or 2 threes. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to make the next one. But there's a great book on the hot hand theory that kind of dives into some of the odds that essentially say, like, if someone is hot during a game, it is likelier that they're going to make more of their shots because I'm misphrasing it a little bit, but the math did kind of come out to better odds than just 50-50 of every shot going in and off. That it was super interesting. So definitely recommend the read. That does a better job of explaining it than I do. But and it's just like the natural, like whether it's a point guard or a coach, like you want to feed your guys and get them touches to like build their confidence throughout the game and keep them happy or keep them involved, keep them energized on defense. So like when you have 100 possessions, you can get away with, feeding your shooting guard a few threes.
Yeah, energy is important, and when they feel that they're getting a look that maybe there's more of an onus on them. It's like, oh, I got to knock this down. This is my play. So, yeah, no, that was a great point with the energy.
Yeah, for sure. And just, interesting, like you were saying, like if you make 2 for 2, does that mean like it's time to run it again? It just run this thing to the ground until somebody misses the shot. I mean, it sometimes it is that simple, I think, when it comes to the sport. Why not ride it while it's hot?
Yeah, make me stop using it. It's not on me.
Exactly.
It's the defense. So.
Exactly. Just run it down their throat until they stop the run. So super interesting here. Lastly here, there's some recruits on Syracuse radar. Some really, I do think that's, one nice effect of having the Anthonys back in town is it just kind of lifts up the Syracuse brand as a whole. The big orange, is just a little more, household namey. So you got like these huge recruits, I think. Jordan Smith Jr., Deron Rippey Jr., Deron Rippey Jr., just to name a few, are 2 of the top guard prospects, could both be lottery picks, not next year, but the year after. Like super impressive. I caught them both at the top 100 camp where I saw Anthony as well. And complete guards. Rippey just does it all. Mean two-way feel, mean shooter, mean point guard. Like really impressed by his all-around ability. And Jordan Smith as well. Like super exciting athlete, good two-way feel, super smart player, and just a natural point guard is really what I remember most, and his decision-making feel and all that. Do you have any thoughts on these recruits or any kind of future Syracuse recruiting or anything, the front office plan, I guess, over the next year or two?
Yeah, if we were to land Smith, that would be glorious. Like that would be crazy for the program. But yeah, I got to see him once, and his frame and just like you could tell that he's a crazy plus wingspan, even when like he just looks taller and bigger than what the measurements say, and you could see it on the court. Like he guards people with so much tenacity, and he can use his length to generate steals, and I always seem to see a highlight of him getting a coast to coast after each game because he's plucking and going the other way. But yeah, I think the Syracuse brand is definitely on and up with Kiyan back in town. I definitely see us in more commercials than I used to. So yeah, I'm excited for the future of the brand.
Absolutely. They got a commercial themselves with D Wade. They probably got more than one commercial, honestly, but they got a funny one just with them too. I don't even remember what it's for, but it was funny that all 3 of them were in that commercial together. Carmelo obviously entering the Hall of Fame very soon here. Can't wait to see that. I'm sure that'll bring up a ton of the glory days for Syracuse. But if you ever get bored, folks, YouTube Carmelo Syracuse highlights, that March Madness run. Just watch some of the best stuff shot making you've ever seen in your life, and sit back and enjoy.
It's legend.
Yeah, no doubt. Still for me, I'm happy to say I think he's, if not the toughest shot maker, like one of the toughest scorers to stop to ever play. Like I echo Draymond's sentiment on that there was just no way to stop the guy. Like he could beat you with speed, getting past you. He could beat you with the jump shot, fade away over you, and he's going to hit you with 1,000 pump fakes to see which way, and the the pivot footwork and to basically just read your top foot or read your hips or read something about your movement to just decide how he's going to beat you that play. I just love watching Melo play. So nothing but love for the Anthony family, and can't wait to see Syracuse hoops this year. Good luck to both sides of the women's and the men's, of course, and can't wait. Good luck for the rest of the season, man.
Hoping for the best. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a ton for hopping on the pod, Drew. It was a lot of fun talking hoops.
Yep.
Have a good one.
All right.
With Ryan. Learning Basketball is a Swish Theory podcast hosted from Beyond the Arcade. Hey, that's me. You can find my work on Twitter, YouTube, Substack, and check out the team's writing at theswishtheory.com.